Hi everyone, this is Martina. Today I'd like to talk about misconceptions or misunderstandings, the most common one I do see and I encounter when I work with people either on the individual basis or in the groups. So I've gathered 5 points which I do see most common causing confusion perhaps. So let's break it down a little bit. Number one is sugar, and in particular, the brown sugar is better or healthier than the white sugar. Now, this is not true at all, and it does not really lie in the color of the sugar, whether it's brown, blue, pink, or purple, but it does lie in the production and the way how the sugar is produced, right? So when the sugar is refined, it means that it's cleared and clean of all impurities as well as minerals. And there is a little bit of magnesium, and that's it. And so if the sugar is refined, it's not really good for us at all. And it doesn't really matter what kind of color the sugar has. I've written quite extensively about the sugar, sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, and what is the best way to use if we want to use additional sweetener in my social media posts. So if, in case you missed it, you might be willing to look it up. But the truth is, and the myth number one is that brown sugar is definitely not better than white sugar, that agave syrup is definitely not better than the honey, for example, and it should not be used. And the artificial sweeteners are not healthy, in spite of the fact that they do not have any calories, right? So that would be the mistake number one, or misconception perhaps would be the right term to use. Number one, which I'd like to mention. The second thing is that the carbs are bad. Now, this is really big topic and it's completely misunderstood. Now, carbohydrates is basically the fuel for every single cell in our body. And if you do not use or eat any carbs, your body is still fueled with glucose. Now, all carbs are not alike. We have to remember that. And there are foods that do contain different ways or different types of carbs, right? And whether we eat vegetables, which do contain carbs, fruits, legumes, for example, as well, whole grains, and whether it's wheat, buckwheat, or quinoa, for example, but also pastries, chocolates, and ice creams. They are all carbohydrates, but they are all different types of carbs, right? And certain do cause unnecessarily weight gain, do cause or do not supply any nutrients or very little, while the others are highly nutritious and highly beneficial, right? So to demonize carbohydrates is absolutely delusional and it's absolutely not right. And we do need good source of carbohydrates for our day-to-day life and function. And the good sources would be legumes, would be vegetables, would be fruits, would be mushrooms, would be potatoes, and the whole grains such as quinoa, millet, and the buckwheat, for example, amaranth, etc. Right? Potatoes would be also a good source of carbohydrates. So these are the starches and the carbs which we definitely need and should be eating. If you follow my work, I keep on repeating every single time when I talk about this. However, there are carbs which are not beneficial and should not be part of our day-to-day nutritional plans. And this would be the refined sugars, this would be the pastries, this would be the empty calories in terms of ice creams or chocolates, etc., right? So these are the carbs which we should not be eating regularly and should be perhaps a treat once upon a time, but not really day to day, right? So we have to learn how to differentiate the carbs and not throw everything into the one bucket because it's not correct and it causes only misunderstanding and misperception. So the whole grains and vegetables and the fruits and legumes are highly beneficial, while the others are completely useless, dare I say. So that is the number two, which I see as a common misunderstanding and misperceptions. The number three, which is popping up every single time, is the protein topic. And the common understanding or perception that we do need really big amounts of protein for a healthy life, for our skeletal system, for our muscular system in particular, right? And the people in looking for the answers revert to the social media, to various influencers, and there are various recommendations out there in terms of how much protein should we really eat. And some of them are coming even up to 2 grams of protein on each kilogram of body weight. And that is quite a lot. That is unreasonably a lot. Now, in reality, we do need some protein, that's no question, but we do not need as much as it is officially, or officially not really, but as it is mostly believed. And I've written about it too, and it's about 0.8 gram on each kilogram of body weight. That's what we definitely need, and that is the amount proven by science, by researchers, really, right? So that is not something which I came up with just right now. This is a science-backed data which I'm providing. And so when you compare 0.8 versus 2 grams, that's quite significant difference. Now, one nuance there is that the people which are older than 65 or perhaps even 62 have to increase or should increase the amount of protein, because we simply tend to lose muscle at a faster pace and faster rate when we come to that age, right? So that's what we have to keep in mind, to increase to perhaps 1.2 grams of protein on each kilogram of body weight when we reach 60 to 65, right? But below that, it's not necessary. We have to keep in mind how the protein is metabolized. Way protein heavy diet does burden the kidneys and is not favorable. And even people who are having some kidney diseases, they have to be very mindful how much of protein they eat, just because it's burdening the kidneys even more, right? And even these people who are having very protein low diet, they are able to metabolize and synthesize enough protein for their day-to-day needs and muscular structure if they have enough calories, if they eat enough calories, and calories from different sources than the protein, right? So the common perception that we do need substantial and large amount of protein for our overall health, well-being, wellness, and muscular structure is misleading somewhat, right? And as I have said, we do need some, and I have said how much do we need for overall health, but overall too much is not enough, and too much of something which we do need is not necessarily better. So the misconception that we do need a large amounts of protein, it's absolutely not right. So that would be number three. Number four would be regarding alcohol, and that would be people many times think that a little bit of alcohol is healthy. So the truth is that alcohol gets metabolized on ethanol, really, right? Ethanol is toxic. Amount of ethanol which is beneficial for human body is 0. Hence, amount of alcohol which is healthy is 0. Having said that, though, there is proven studies and researches that show that very low consumption of alcohol does not have negative effect, or does not have negative effect when compared to the abstinence. So what does that mean? If we do drink very low amount of alcohol, which would be meaning perhaps on really occasions such as Christmas, such as Easter, when you have a birthday, for example. Yeah, so really on occasions during the course of the year when we drink a couple of drinks, it does not have negative effects in comparison to the people who are not drinking at all, right? It still doesn't make it any healthier than zero, really. I'm not saying you should not be drinking. I'm not saying you should be drinking. I mean, it's a very individual decision and we should make the decision for ourselves. However, I want to explain that amount of alcohol claimed to be healthy, it's a little bit is healthy. It's not accurate. It's not right. Amount of alcohol which is healthy is basically none. And whether you drink or not, I mean, the decision is yours. But as I have said, having said that, little bit on occasion doesn't prove to be negative, yet it doesn't make it healthy either, right? So that would be number 4. Number 5, and the last point would be that we do need to make a lot of cardio and a lot of running or any cardio exercise for weight loss. So while cardio exercise, no matter what it is, whether is it biking, whether is it a high intensity interval training, running, swimming, whatever you choose in terms of increasing your heart rate, and is beneficial, right? Some amount is beneficial for our cardiovascular health. It does not really mean that we need to make substantial amount of cardio stimulating exercise for weight loss. We do need some. However, that on its own will not be really helping in totality our weight loss. It will be helpful. I'm not saying it will not. It will be helpful, but on its own, it's not enough. And when I say on its own, what all do we need to do, or what else do we need to do? Now, weight loss is quite a complex topic, but again, it's not rocket science at the same time, right? So for weight loss, if we want to achieve long-term sustainable results and in terms of weight, we have to have certain amount of cardio stimulating exercise, as I have said. We need to have, however, also weight lifting exercise or resistance training exercise, which is stimulating the weight loss in completely different pathways than the cardio. And it's anabolic exercise, right? And we do need to keep the muscle mass in health. We need to keep the bone strength in certain level really as we age, right? So that would be the second component, which is very important in the weight loss, and it's many times forgotten. And the third one would be obvious nutrition. What else, right? So we have to keep the nutrients in the healthy level and the caloric density in the mindful way and caloric amount in the sufficient way. And if we want to lose weight, we need to go perhaps to caloric deficit for a certain period of time, right? Or perhaps play around with the composition of the nutrients. So how many carbohydrates, how many protein, how much fat, etc., right? So that would be nutrition composition is extremely important when we come to the weight loss. And it is really not only by no means on the cardiovascular system and cardio exercise as such, right? So these would be the most common misperception, most 5 mistakes or misperceptions, which I do see every single time when I talk to people and when I work with clients. So I hope this helped you, and if it did, please subscribe to this channel. It helps to grow, it helps a great deal, or share with others too who may be finding it beneficial. So that's all for now, and I'll talk to you soon again. Bye.